Good morning. Let's start today's discussion on the daily developments. The first topic that we will discuss today is in the international section on India, European Union, global dynamics, or so it can be said as India EU relation. Fine. This is on India and European Union relation. You know, at present, European Union is an association of 27 independent countries of Europe. Because in the Brexit, so UK left it. Fine. Otherwise, its membership was 28. Fine. So, going little back to the history of this organization, European Union was created as European Coal and Steel Company. Then it became European Economic Community. Then it became European Union by the Maastricht Treaty. Okay, and this process they decided to go for a common currency called euro in 1995. Right. So after knowing this, and one more thing that before going to the detail of the topic today is European Union is one among the most okay. So let European Union has established itself as one of the most successful trade bloc. So also it is able to be recognized as a very prosperous region because of both their union called the European Union. Fine. Through common approach, through common approach, they are able to establish themselves as one of the successful trade bloc, and that led to wider trade interaction. And apart from trade, they also cooperated each other in diversified domain, and they're able to achieve success and attain prosperity, and prosperity led to other development in science, healthcare, space, nuclear research, almost all the domains. Fine. So they have their common currency called euro. They have their common market, common monetary policy, but different fiscal policy. They have a space agency called European Space Agency, which is a very successful one. They have conducted the established the CERN, CERN, which conducted the Big Bang experiment. CERN. Okay. So they have the European Space Agency. Fine. They have a navigation system called the Galileo. Fine. All these. Okay. India and European Union conclude the first round of a talk for a proposed free trade agreement. What is a free trade agreement? When both the sides sign a free trade agreement, the trade between the two sides is promoted because the tariff is reduced. Reduced tariff led to increased volume of trade. Similarly, India has free trade agreement with ASEAN. India has free trade agreement with many individual countries. Success of these has encouraged India to think of signing free trade agreement with European Union as a group. Fine. And this negotiation was launched much earlier, but in between there are interruptions. And recently again they restarted their free trade negotiation. And this news is because of that. Because both India and European Union restarted their discussion on this free trade agreement. So they are in news. India and EU bilateral relations date back to the early 60s, with India being among the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with the European Economic Community in 1962. As I told you, it was initially European Steel and Coal and Steel Company, then converted to European Economic Community, and India was the first country, among the first country, which established diplomatic relation with the European Economic Community. The first India-EU summit took place in 2000 because European Union came into being in 1995 with its new name, and the first and the top level interaction between the two sides is India-EU summit, which is an annual affair. Okay, the first summit was held in 2000. So this India-EU summit is the top level interaction between the two sides. Fine. In 2007, India and EU began negotiations on a broad-based bilateral trade and investment agreement in Brussels, Belgium. Fine. So, as I told you, the present news means it is relaunched, but the discussion for a free trade agreement was relaunched after a gap because fine. So earlier it was launched, but it was interrupted, and subsequently, with the situation becoming normal, okay, so both the sides restarted the discussion for launching the free trade agreement. Fine. Okay. So it was started in 2007, and there is some in between interruptions, and after the interruption, it was relaunched. Current status: India and European Union shared healthy trade relationship. EU, India's third largest trade partner. Remember this factually because this may come in the preliminary. EU is India's third largest trading partner, while India is European Union's 11th largest trading partner. That means we import more than we export to European Union. Fine. That is what we import more from European Union than we export to European Union. In 2019-2020, India EU trade accounts for 63.8 billion, okay, which is 11.1 of total Indian trade in goods, while a total of 1.9 EU total trade in goods in 2020 came to India. Fine. India export almost 14% of its total export to European Union. Recently, there is an increasing initiative from both the sides to deepen engagement with each other. India and European Union concluded the first round of negotiations for India EU Trade and Investment Agreement, okay, including the geographical indicator. GI, as per WTO provisions, is the products grown in specific regions of the country and its speciality because of the particular region. The target to finalize the free trade agreement has been set as 2023-24. Negotiation relaunched and 2023-24 they have to complete the negotiation. So the free trade agreement can be operational. The trade agreement with European Union would help India in further expanding and diversifying its export of goods and services, including securing the value chain. Fine. Both sides are aiming for the trade negotiations to be broad-based, balanced, and comprehensive based on the principles of fairness and reciprocity. Fine. Aiming for trade negotiations to be broad-based, balanced, and comprehensive based on the principle of fairness and reciprocity. Reciprocity, that means benefit should be to both the sides. Beneficial to both the sides. Okay, both India and European are committed to climate change and recent progress in India-EU alliance opens prospect for customized partnership and mutual growth. Such a partnership will ensure that both India and European Union have their agendas of economic growth and sustainability fulfilled, a win-win situation for both entities. The European Union wants to be the first carbon neutral region in the world by 2050. You know, at the Glasgow Climate Conference, European Union has set the target to be carbon neutral by 2050, whereas India will be carbon neutral by 2070. It will be India's target. And European Union by 2050. So carbon neutral or net zero carbon emission. Fine. It brought out the European Union Green Deal in July 2021 to focus on a new growth strategy that aims to transform the European Union society into a fair and wealthy one with a modern, resource efficient and competitive economy. Fine. Okay. To attain carbon neutrality, carbon pricing mechanism, European Union has set forth immediate target and has brought out the Fit for 55 package, a communication of its 2030 climate target. A provisions in the policy plans is the introduction of carbon border adjustment mechanism (CBAM), a carbon pricing system proposed for import into the European Union. The CBAM suggests taxing the imported goods best difference between carbon used in the production of domestic and imported goods. Okay, this is a very unique and innovative measure. So this will tax as per the imported items. So the amount of carbon used to produce it and the same if it is produced inside European Union. A major challenge in translating government exchanges and agreement into the substantial partnership enhancing trade and investment flows. The EU is seeking to expand the bilateral trade volume. Okay, India, however, suffered from excessive bureaucratic rigidity and more need to be done to exploit its full business potential. Despite its economic growth and potential, however, the fact cannot be overlooked that India faces numerous domestic development challenges and reciprocity could have detrimental effect on its agricultural sector. Fine. If the agreement, the free trade agreement is implemented, it may lead to some detrimental effect, okay, on its agricultural sector. Okay. The EU asserts that India's high tariff barrier are not transparent enough and thus not conducive to creating a trade enabling structure. The developing countries have raised their concern on the legality of the CBAM, pointing out its conflict with World Trade Organization and the United Nations Framework Convention climate change norms and are afraid that it encourages protectionism. So, protectionism policy, it is called that this is some sort of a protectionism policy by which European Union will give protection to its own member countries from trading with the outside world rather than promoting free trade as per the WTO mandates. Fine. So this is what. So if the India European Union free trade agreement will be operational by will be finalized by 2023-24 and become operational. So it will definitely facilitate more trade in goods and services with the two sides, wider interaction, and reciprocal benefit will be to both the sides because European Union being the prosperous region in Europe, which India has a big opportunity for export promotion, as well as India is also hopeful that more and more investment flow will be from European Union that will definitely enhance India's economic development because European Union is a major investor in Indian economy and if the free trade agreement is signed, this will further get boosted in the changed circumstances. Fine. So moving to the next. So G7 Climate Club. You know what is G7? G7 is an association of industrially advanced, okay, economically prosperous, and technologically much better countries of the world. Okay, so it is called the Rich Nations Club, and this recently Germany hosted the G7 annual summit. Countries like USA, UK, Japan, Canada, Germany, France, etc. are its members. Okay, at the recently concluded summit, the which is the 40th G7 summit hosted by Germany, the leaders decided to form an international climate club. Climate being a big concern for the global community, at the Rich Nations Club called the G7, they decided to launch a climate club of nations that want to take more decisive climate action and combat global warming. This will not be confined to the G7, but this is a G7 initiative of like-minded countries who want to take more decisive climate action and to combat global warming. Fine. So group 7 is group of 7 countries: USA, UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan. Okay. So it was started. Okay. And the climate club concept was started in 2015. The G7 climate club concept was started in 2017. Fine. So, developed by the early economist William Nordhaus in 2015, the club he proposed would exempt its members from climate-related trade tariffs to which non-members will be subjected. The G7 Climate Club is expected to be established by the end of 2022. It will be an intergovernmental forum of high ambition that will be open and inclusive in nature to those committed to follow the Paris Climate Agreement 2015. You all know the Paris Climate Agreement was a major international agreement on climate related issue which was organized by UNFCCC, okay, in 2015 at Paris. And here the global community agreed to reduce global warming by 2 degrees centigrade and from 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade. Fine. So target was 2 degree, but definitely they want to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius reduction in global temperature. And every country has to decide or fix or declare its own indigenous reduction target in this. Fine. The club will aim to promote collaboration, help maintain competitiveness, and make climate protection a competitive advantage. The climate club will be built on 3 pillars. Focus on advancing transparent policy to achieve climate neutrality, reducing all greenhouse gases as much as possible, transforming industry to accelerate decarbonization, and facilitating partnership and cooperation to encourage climate action and unlock socio-economic benefits of climate cooperation. This open collaborative club will set joint minimum standards, drive climate action that is internationally coordinated. This will ensure that climate action makes a country more competitive at international level. Fine. This open collaborative club will set joint minimum standards, drive climate action that is internationally coordinated. This will ensure that climate action makes a country more competitive at the international level. So this is a very innovative initiative by the G7 by which it, the rich nations club, want to give focus on climate and environment because they very well realize that without protection of the environment and care for the climate, so humanity is going to be affected, and these countries who are the torch bearer of the world in almost all the domain, they have a prime responsibility to ensure this in the global scenario. Fine. This is one of the very unique development because of its empathy towards the global community. This you can say this is a step in the direction of empathy of the rich country for the global community. Then the next topic is a topic in finance about the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. Indian government promoted NIIF, which is a sovereign wealth fund. Okay, this is, NIIF can be called as the sovereign wealth fund. of India. Fine. Has made its single largest investment of US $300 million or 22,250 crores for 22% stake in Hindustan Ports, a local arms of the UAE's DP World. The National Investment Infrastructure Fund is India's first ever sovereign wealth fund. What is a sovereign wealth fund? Sovereign wealth fund is the fund launched by the government, a sovereign authority of the country, to be invested in different projects and probably in the foreign countries. Fine. It is a state-owned fund set by Department of Economic Affairs, Government of India 2015. The NIIF is an alternative for providing long-term capital for the infra-related projects, means infrastructure-related projects. It is registered under the Society Security and Exchange Board of India under Category 2 Alternative Investment Fund. It is a collaborative investment platform for both international and Indian investors. The NIIF manages over 4.3 billion US dollar assets under management through its 3 funds. Okay. So type of NII funds, the master fund. So there are 3 different funds under this. The master fund primarily invests in infrastructure projects such as roads, ports, airport and power. It invests in well-established enterprises that are into a long-term agreement and are operating in a regulated environment with good history. It acts as a hedge at times of inflation and offers stable cash inflow. This is number 1 master fund. Then coming to the number 2 master fund, number 2 is fund of funds. Invest in funds managed by the renowned fund managers having an excellent track records. It invests as anchor investors in order to accumulate more funds from the institutional investors. It may also enter into joint ventures with the fund managers based on their track record, investment strategy and risk management. The third is the strategic fund. Strategic fund invests primarily in equity and equity-linked instruments. It is registered as an alternative fund too under the SEBI in India. So this sovereign wealth fund has 3 different categories. Okay. So 3 funds, one is the master fund, second is the fund of funds, third is the strategic fund. And why this division? Because this division clearly delineates the domain where they invest. Fine, where the fund is invested. The approach of investment of the fund. Fine. Then what is the sovereign wealth fund? As I explained you earlier, a sovereign wealth fund is a state-owned fund. It is mostly formed from the country's reserves. It is used to invest in capital assets such as real estate, metals, stocks and bonds. The main objective of the sovereign wealth fund is to allocate funds for the betterment of the country's economy. Sovereign wealth fund also invests in alternative investments such as private equity funds and hedge funds. Some sovereign wealth funds invest in global avenues. Means sovereign wealth fund is not only invested in the country but also in the joint ventures and also in projects outside the country. Fine. Then the next topic is about the Green Climate Fund. This is a global fund established to take care of the climate change. Okay. In 2010, the Green Climate Fund was created by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Okay. So because here the global community realized the developed countries should contribute $100 billion per annum to mitigate the environmental impact on the poor countries. It is the world's largest climate fund. It is mandated to support developing countries and underdeveloped countries reach and realize their national determined contributions, ambitions towards low greenhouse gas emissions, climate resilient pathways. It is mandated to help vulnerable society adapt to the unavoidable impacts of climate change. Because you know, the impact of climate change will be more on the underdeveloped countries, the poor countries, than on the developed countries. Because the developed countries will be able to face the climate change because of the level of technology that they are using. But as compared to that, the poor countries may not be in a position to do this. Fine. So which is possible on the part of the developed countries, so that may not be possible on the part of the underdeveloped countries. So this Green Climate Fund has been created or established at the UNFCCC to fund or to provide finance for the least developed countries or less developed countries in meeting their climate targets. Fine. It is mandated to help vulnerable societies to unavoidable impact of climate change. Okay. So the fund try to achieve the above goal by investing across 4 transitions. So what are the 4 transitions? Build environment, energy and industry. Second is, so first is build environment, means environmental activity, okay, to be taken up by the fund. Okay. Second is energy and industry. Fine. Third is human security. Third is human security, livelihood and well-being. And the last one is land use, forest and ecosystem. Fine. So this fund will be spent for these activities. The fund tries to achieve the above goals by employing a four-pronged approach. What is the four-pronged approach? Transformational planning and programming to maximize the co-benefits between mitigation, adaptation and sustainable development. Fine. Second is catalyzing climate innovations by investing in new technologies, business models and practices to establish a proof of concept. Fine. Third is de-risking investment to mobilize finance at scale. And the last one is mainstreaming climate risk and opportunities into investment decision making to align finance with sustainable development. Fine. This Green Climate Fund is being, was set up by the UNFCCC, and its prime objective is to facilitate the available of fund and technology for the underdeveloped countries and the developing countries, with special emphasis on the poor countries to meet the financial requirements to mitigate the impact of climate change. Fine. Then coming to the MCQs. Consider the following statement with regard to the field medals recently seen in news. Field medals is awarded every year in the field of mathematics. Fine. So okay, it is not given every year. It is given every 4 years at 4-year interval. Field medal is awarded at the International Congress on the International Mathematical Union. Okay, which is an intergovernmental organization. No, this is an NGO, not intergovernmental. Okay, the award is given to young mathematicians generally under the age of 40. This is right. So here the answer is 3. Only answer option 3 is the right one, and 1, 2 are wrong because it is given every 4 years, not every year. And this is not an intergovernmental. It is a non-governmental organization, an NGO, international NGO, which operates in the global scale. but it is not a intergovernmental. Government is not a party to this. Okay. Bhil tribe recently seen in news due to their honorary vote in the British era and generally are found all over India in recent times. Which of the following states are recognized them as tribal people of the state? So Gujarat recognized them, Madhya Pradesh recognized them, Maharashtra recognized them. They are almost present in many states. So all of the three states recognize them as a tribal present in their state. So all these states recognize them. All the three states recognize them. So answer is all of these. The National Monument Authority submitted a report on declaring Mangra Hillocks in Rajasthan as a monument of national importance to honor the Bhil tribal freedom fighters. Fine. With reference to the Magrath Hill massacre, consider the following statement. The movement is led by Gobind Giri. Yes, it is right. This massacre is also known as the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of Bhagad region or Adivasi Jallianwala Bagh massacre. It is called Jallianwala Bagh took place in Punjab, but this movement which took place in Rajasthan is called as the Adivasi Jallianwala Bagh. In Jallianwala Bagh, the Punjabis on the Baisakhi day they opposed the Britishers and faced the bullet from Major Dyer. But here the same thing happened in Rajasthan where the tribals were at the forefront of the agitation. So both A1 and 2 are correct. Consider the following statement with regard to Green Climate Fund. We have discussed a lot on this just recently. Green Climate Fund is accountable to the United Nations because it was established under UNFCCC. It is guided by the principle and provisions of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is right. It is mandated to help vulnerable society in adapting to the unavoidable impact of climate change, particularly in least developed countries, small island developing states, and African states. So, least developed country, the island states who are going to be the major sufferer of climate change in future because they are going to face the severe impact of climate change. Okay, in their own territory because they being the island countries. So they will sink fast due to the climate change, global warming, due to the melting of the polar ice. So they are going to be the severe affected countries. It is mandated to help. Okay, so a small island development and the African states. African countries are poor, no doubt. So these three are correct. So all of these is the correct answer. Coming to question number 5. Master fund, it invests in anchor investors. Founder funds primarily invest in infra-related projects such as roads, ports. Okay. Strategic fund invests primarily in the equity and equity-linked markets. Master fund is never invest in it, not anchor fund. It invests in the primary invest in the infra-related projects. So you see, there is a mismatch. This fund, if you say we can change this. This fund is invested for this activity and this fund is invested in this activity. So these two are mismatched. Okay. So these two are incorrectly matched. This is not correctly matched. This is not correct. Only this is correctly matched. So answer is which is not incorrectly matched. So answer will be 1 and 2. Both are incorrectly matched. Fine. Then going to question number 6. Which of the following is not a G7 country? USA, UK, Canada. Okay. Who else are there in G7? If you know the name, so who else? So it is Japan, Italy, Germany, and France. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Australia is not a member. Fine. Which of the following country or organization India does not have a free trade agreement? Okay. So we have free trade agreement with ASEAN, so which is both in goods and services. We have free trade agreement with Japan as a country and Thailand as a country. So with all of these, we have free trade agreements. The ASEAN at the organization level, because ASEAN in association of Southeast Asian nations, where the membership is 10 countries. Okay, India ASEAN FTA.
covers both goods and services. Fine. And it's fully optional. We have agreement with Japan as well as Thailand. So all of these are correct. Then which of the following has been constituted under the Environment Protection Act 1986? Groundwater Commission is a statutory body. Central Groundwater Board is the Act of Parliament. The Central Groundwater Authority, okay, is considered for the Act of 1986. So C is the right answer. From the following statement, European Union is India's 11th largest partner, while India is European Union's 4th largest trading partner. This is completely wrong. If you see what we have discussed just few minutes before, so EU is India's 3rd largest trade partner, while India is European Union's 11th largest trade partner. So this is wrong. And India European Union BIAT treaty is related to Indo-EU Free Trade Agreement. So this is the right one. Old Chikki is a script of which language? Santali language. The Santali tribes, they use the Old Chikki script. Okay, this is a very attached language of the Santali tribes and the indigenous one. And if you see the long questions of today, so what is the long question today? What are the rare earth metals? Discuss strategic environmental significance with respect to India. Rare earth elements are a set of 17 metallic elements. These include the 15 lanthanides on the periodic tables plus scandium and lithium. They are also referred as rare earth oxides because many of them are solids as oxide compounds. Rare earth elements are necessary components of products across a wide range of applications, especially high technology consumer products such as the cellular telephones, computer hard drives, electric and hybrid vehicles, flat screen monitors and televisions. The demand for them is small, although rising. They are mined and produced in small quantity and hence the name called the rare earth minerals. Okay, due to their unique magnetic, luminescent and electrochemical property, the rare earth elements help technology to reduce emissions and energy consumption, therefore provide them greater efficiency, performance, speed, durability and thermal stability. They are distinctive electrical, metallurgical, catalytic, nuclear, magnetic and luminescent properties. The futuristic technology will need these rare earth elements for high temperature, superconductivity, safe storage and transport of hydrogen for a post-hydrocarbon economy, environmental global warming and energy efficiency issues. Fine. So what is the strategic importance? Permanent magnet which are used in defense equipments including actuators to control guidance system for airborne smart missiles as well as in aerospace applications for aircraft components and airstrip maintenance equipments are derived from rare earth minerals. With growing global trends in clean technology, the demand for critical rare earth minerals will grow. While late in joining the race, the government of India is taking steps to deepen and strengthen India's position in the rare earth market. You know, at in Chhatrapur in Odisha, we have a rare earth plant. Okay, it is for our, you can say the credit that in Odisha at Chhatrapur in Ganjam, we have a Indian rare earth factory. Okay. Government of India is taking steps to develop and strengthen India's position in the rare earth market. However, if India wants to position itself in the global leader in the renewable energy and be more self-sufficient in defense equipments. It should seek to reduce its dependence on import of renewable energy equipments like solar panels and modules as well as defense equipments. So while beginning had been made with the announcement of the National Mineral Policy 2019 covering non-fuel and non-coal minerals, India must strive to acquire expertise in valorizing these minerals and shift to developing its downstream sector. To that end, India should seek to leverage its ties with Japan and other countries that have the requisite technology for manufacturing downstream equipment so that it can set itself up as an alternative source of rare earth based technology with its own supply chain of minerals and metals required for the same. Because we have the availability of rare earth minerals and we have some plants by the rare earth institute, okay, like one plant in Satrapura, Odisha. So this can be more grown, more developed to cater to our requirements. So friends, this discussion is very much useful for you. So keep on watching us regularly to update yourself on the daily development. Thank you.